Yeah, everybody, it's Chavano, but it's Auto. It is 7:30 Sunday evening. Time for some more Gearhead Interactive live chat. Actually, everything went tonight. I hit go on Facebook and YouTube at the same time, and they both worked. So that's actually kind of spooky. So we're going to see how things go tonight because it all worked right out of the gate. That almost makes me a little bit worried. But anyway, we are live. Back tonight on Facebook and YouTube. Last week we were YouTube only because I was out on the road heading home from the Wahoo, Nebraska swap meet. And so back live on both formats. So as you see me looking back and forth, checking both monitors, I will be keeping an eye on both of them. Good crowd here, ready to go right out of the gate. We've got, let's see, Pete's here. Kevin L is on. Neil made it tonight. Hubcap Dylan. Let's see. And looks like we are live on Facebook, but nobody on Facebook as of yet. Hey, there's John Anderson stopping by. Anyway, since we are back on a normal night, we'll get a little bit of our housekeeping out of the way and then get moving into tonight's chat. As always, please double check your autocorrect before you hit send. I try to catch most comments as they pop up. If autocorrect changes it to something I can't understand, I will have to skip it, and that does occasionally happen sometimes. Hey, there's Ron. Mark made it. If you're on the Nobody Show Facebook page, I cannot see those comments. This is a shared video from the Nobody Else's Auto page. You'll need to be on the Nobody Else's Auto page on Facebook or the Nobody Show YouTube channel to comment, participate in the auctions, etc. If you just want to hang out there and watch, you're perfectly fine. But please remember, I cannot see those comments. Joe's with us on Facebook tonight. Kevin made it today. Trolls, occasionally we do get a troll on here, but you guys do a great job of running them off. We put some steps in place to help eliminate that, but occasionally one does still sneak in. I ignore them. You guys do an amazing job of letting them know they are not welcome and getting rid of them. John Sanderson stopping by. Ads, as Pete mentioned, we are dealing with ads. It is their game, and unfortunately there isn't anything we can do about it. So we just kind of have to work around them. And as always, super chats are always super awesome. And we do have the supercharged super chat badge geared up and ready to go for any super chats that pop up. So anyway, big jobs here. We'll go ahead and get rolling into tonight's chat. Like I said, I didn't get back home until Monday. So been working around here. We've you ready for a badge, Neil? Neil's ready for a badge. We better get the Hudson badge out. Let's just warm them both up and get rolling right out of the gate with the Hudson and the Auburn badge. Randy stopping by. And if you want to get crazy, I got another badge laying out here too we haven't looked at in a while. We can whip up the Dover badge. Hey, Austin made it back. You bet, Neil, anytime. We'll get you a trifecta of them, though. So anyway, got back home Monday. Got a little bit of work done around here this week. I spent a couple days. I actually spent like a whole half day at the yard, like a couple of days of a half day at the yard. Haven't done that in eons. It was actually dry enough. I actually was able to move a few cars, do a few things out there. It was kind of weird. I mean, it's been a long, long time since I spent like a whole half day at the yard. I did it a couple of days this week. So thought that was awfully kind of odd for my schedule, but I did get a few things done. So that was kind of nice. Briggs is here. One thing, speaking of the yard though, one thing I was thinking about this week, is we have not done a live in several months. Not since 4th of July. I look back, the last time we did a live yard walk was 4th of July. So kind of thinking we probably should squeeze one of those in, and then we'll squeeze one in right at the end of the year, right at the beginning of the year. Typically we try to do one on New Year's Day if it's not too terrible out. But anyway, kind of something to be thinking about. I know you guys are always up for a yard walk. John said as is too long. Chai Savage is here. So if something to think about, depending on how the next few weeks shake out, be looking for that. Obviously, if we get a good Sunday morning or something like that, late Saturday afternoon, we'll see how truck or treat yard walk Okay. Pete's ready. Pete's ready now, I think. So I don't know. We'll see how it kind of shakes out. We've never done one like late in the day. Maybe we do one late afternoon or something. We usually try to do them in the morning. We'll see how things go, but keep that in mind. And like I said, I will try to give everybody, at least a few hours warning. Hey, Andy stopping by. Rolling down the turnpike. If not, if it looks like something's going to pop up, I'll try to put it up a day ahead of time if it looks like we've got a good window weather-wise and things like that. So Dad's here with us tonight. Guy on the car guy made it through the ads for adult diapers. Well, at least you hung in there through it. I'm glad you made it. So we'll kind of pencil that in. Kind of be watching for that sometime in the next few weeks. We'll try to get one of those up. And a lot of things been coming in. A lot of things changed. Like I said, I actually moved a few cars around. Jim's here. And so we'll go out and wander around a bit and check some things out here in the near future. Oil can books. We've been talking about these quite a bit. We're going to talk about them again tonight when we check out an oil can. Most of you guys have the first batch. I have a couple more orders. The guys that ordered after the fact, I didn't get that check sent until this week, so I will probably have these this following week, as well as the other stuff that needs to go in your packages. Buick Man made it. For you guys that have not ordered yet, I did order a couple of extras this time, so I will have a couple of extra ones on hand for any of you guys that do decide that you want one of those. So, but the guys that have paid for them, they're not here yet, but I have sent the check, and I anticipate having them hopefully middle of this week. So just want to give everybody a heads up on that. Glad you enjoy it, John. It seems like everybody that has theirs has gotten a pretty big kick out of them. So that's why this time we only had a couple more that were pre-sold, but I ordered a couple of extras since I was having him send me some anyway. So anybody that does decide they want one, I am going to have a couple more here on the shelf for the time being, because we've had such amazing feedback from it. I figured surely, we're going to run into a few more people that would like to have one. So, but yep, that I guess Pete's already laying claim to the steering wheel. Pete is already claiming to be the winner of the raffle here in a couple weeks since we've got the steering wheel hung up. I actually did wrap electrical tape around it right here to protect it from hanging off the wire. So it is wrapped in electrical tape where the wire is contacting it. Frank's here. So a couple weeks, we're going to be giving that thing away. Get your entries in. Make sure you are in the Big Buick oil can. We'll talk about that some more here in a little bit. Austin did mention Fall Scottsdale. I did not watch any of it. Dad watched some of it. He said from what he saw, it looked pretty strong. But we were going to touch on that. I have not talked to Wicks. Wicks was going, but I have not talked to him. I'll be real curious to see what he felt boots on the ground from there, because when I talked to him a couple weeks ago, he said the docket wasn't building very quickly. So be kind of curious to see what, how the weekend turned out overall. So Austin said what he saw was pretty strong. That's what Dad said. He thought it looked pretty strong as well. But I haven't studied any of the results, and I didn't watch any of it at all. So, but as always, you can go back on YouTube and watch some more of that too. So, but speaking of auctions, I had one other tidbit on auctions that I wanted to bring up. As crazy as it is to think about, we are now halfway through October. So we're looking a little bit down the road here, but kind of trying to think ahead. Mecum, Kansas City is going to be just around the corner. Yep, it's about that time, Buick man. That's the first weekend in December. Tractor Mike and I have talked about it. At this point, we are planning on trying to go. So if any of you guys are thinking about trying to catch Mecum, Kansas City, let me know. Austin says he is going. Okay, sounds good. Hey, Tim's here. So we'll see how things go, but I'm just throwing that out there a little ahead of time to be thinking about so it doesn't sneak up on us. At this point, unless something weird changes, Tractor Mike and I are planning to do Meekum, Kansas City again. Hey, there's Big Rig Brett. So, as always, you guys are welcome to hang out with us. We usually have a pretty good time. Don't know who all is going. I don't know if my buddy Alan from Augusta is going, but I'm sure there's going to be a few of us there having some fun and hopefully not making too many bad decisions. So, anyway. But while we're on the topic of thinking ahead, something else that there again, we don't need to make a decision tonight, but we have touched on the next gathering of the Nobodies, the third annual. If, obviously the response was excellent that everybody wants to do it. Whoa, hold up. Supercharged super chat from Kevin L. Boom, right there. Starting us off 10 minutes in with the first supercharged super chat. Thanks to Kevin L. Bam, right there. Supercharged super chat. Thanks, Kevin L. So anyway, back to thinking ahead, gathering time. Obviously, by the end of the year, which is just over 2 months away, kind of would like to make a decision as to whether or not we want to stay in that April window. Hey, there's Mark. Or if we want to, there was discussion about the first week or so of June as well. So once again, be thinking about that, guys. And maybe even, Andy or somebody, we could put something up on the No Buddies page. If there's, we could have put a survey together or something, see what most people think as to what, I don't want to put 100 dates up there, but the 2 dates that have been discussed is end of April, like we've been doing, which we had snow one time and rain one time. Or whether there was some discussion about the first week of June. So sounds good, Andy. I'd appreciate that. I'm just there again. I'm throwing this out there because it's something that here within another month or two, we need to have a decision made on. So just thought I'd throw up there, food for thought. And that's something that if Andy could throw something like that up on, which Chevy wagon are we talking about, Mark? Speaking of which, Mark, I got your check on the ashtray, but you had a couple of other pieces from an earlier auction. I didn't know if you'd sent a check for that and I didn't get it or where we were at on that. I got the one for the ashtray and your raffle entries, but I haven't seen anything on those pieces a couple weeks before that. So just let me know where we're at on that, Mark. If we need to resell them, we'll resell them, and I'll get you the ashtray. Just let me know what we need to do. So we were talking about end of April. Okay, you did send another check, Mark. Okay, I'll double check and see if I've got it. Hey, there's Wake Up. And see if it didn't just get misplaced. The other thing we were talking about was like the first week of June. There was 1 or 2 people that had mentioned that. Obviously, May is usually a disaster for everybody as far as, school ending, graduations, things like that. So, we could look at something, I don't know how next year falls, but there again, just something to be thinking about. May 30th is a Saturday. Yeah, no problem, Andy. Appreciate it. May 30th is a Saturday. That would be, and June 1st would be so May 30th, June 6th, something like that. Just there again, I'm just throwing it out there so we can be thinking ahead. And we'll touch base on it again here in another few weeks and then maybe try to put a survey up, see what you guys think and what's going to work the best for the most people. Awesome, Andy. Appreciate it. Great idea, Pete. If you guys don't have Pete's email address, he can throw it up there since he's a moderator. And Pete does an awesome job of managing that email list for me because I don't have time to deal with it. So yeah, absolutely let us know what you think. If you guys have ideas on dates, send them to Pete, and then maybe that'll narrow it down to a couple of possible dates, and then we can put something up as a survey. That'd be a great place to start. If you guys want to send Pete an email and let him know what you think. Then we can look at it and have Andy put a survey up, and then we got something to work with. So just there again, it's just food for thought, guys. Just trying to think, just trying to stay ahead of the curve, since the overall consensus is everybody wants to get together again. Had a great training session with Bill, Pete, and Eric the other night on outside sun visors. The only problem now is I have a massive pile of outside sun visors right outside the door. So I gathered up part of them to to talk about the differences in some of them. David D's here. Sounds great, Buick, man. So we talked a lot about the differences in several different outside sun visors and things to watch for on them. So now I got to do something with this huge pile of them outside the office, because that's where they all got stacked after we got done in here. But it's going well. If you guys are interested in getting into that, once you step up to that Nobody's Premier membership group, you can go back and watch all of the rest of them, as well as get in the live group discussion when we have those get-togethers. So Kevin L brings up a very valid point, actually. Okay, there was okay, that's what I got. And the check was the exact amount for the ashtray you had bought, but the plate and the grease cap were a different amount, Mark. That's what threw me. That's why I said the ashtray, because the ashtray was the exact amount for the check, and then the cash for the raffle. That's true. Actually, Pete should try to find Janet for the gathering. I agree with that. Pete's ready to go buy visors. But anyway, back to Kevin L's comment. Tired of Austin winning everything. Austin has cleaned up on the live raffles at the first two gatherings. So I can see Kevin L's point there that we got to figure out something to kind of reel Austin in, because I don't know how he wins every time, but the first name out of the can, it's him or his dad. I don't know how they do that, but I don't know. He scored the first 2 years, that's for sure. No doubt about it. But anyway, that's what we're thinking about. Just throwing ideas out there. Get some, please get some information to Pete. We'll maybe have Andy put up a survey. We'll get something nailed down here, hopefully here in the next 6 weeks, so people can start planning and scheduling for it. So Austin gets a timeout. There we go. Anyway, what else is coming up this Friday? Hutch swap meet. I do plan on hitting that. Dad and I are going down Friday to the Hutchinson, Kansas swap meet. I don't know if anybody else on here is planning on attending. I usually see Nate there. It's a smaller swap meet, but it is it's only 50 miles for us, so we run down and check it out. So hey, there's Art. But anyway, so that's what we're planning on doing Friday. So we may see some of you guys at the Hutch swap meet possibly. We'll see how big it is. We'll see if there's anything to do some content with there. We may try to do a little bit of content for you at the Hutch swap meet and see how things shake out there. But planning on that Friday and checking that out. One other thing I wanted to catch this week and touch on was, yeah, he definitely does that. Big job. He does something. He does something right, because he's done pretty well at the first couple. I don't think anybody can argue that point. I have a Hudson badge. Not in honor of Austin, just for everybody else that feels bad because he wins all the time. But anyway, one other good thing did happen this week. That's right. Come buy junk from Nate so he can buy more junk. Hey, there's Kenny. So I assume that means you're going to be set up, Nate. So anyway, one other thing, exciting thing happened this week. Hey, there's Glenn. Dad's car got here from Indy. So that was pretty cool to finally get it here. Took a couple extra days, but it is here. I told you guys it was coming. We will definitely get some content on it here soon. But it's, to me, at least I think it's super cool. It is a true one of one. It is the only one Buick built. It was built in Buick Engineering. And it is a concept car. It is the one and only. Some of you guys may not even remember these cars. From 95 to 99, Buick did build, was the last version that Buick ever made of the Riviera. They were all 3800s. You could get a supercharged 3800 or a regular 3800 in them. Buick wanted to go to a V8 power plant, so they put together this concept car with a North Star in it. It has a custom-built North Star. It has custom paint, custom wheels. Buick Engineering built the car, sent it to SEMA in 98, and upper management killed the idea of Buick going back to V8 power. So this is the only one of that body style of Riviera that was ever V8 powered. It is the last Riviera ever built with a V8 in it. So it's pretty cool. It is well documented. It's been well known. It's been in several magazines, but pretty neat car. A literally a one of one. I don't know if you get a 455 in it, but it is a one of one. It is the only one. It was built by Buick Engineering. It is a stock bodied car. It was a production line car. It does have a VIN. However, it was sold with a salvage title. Since it had been modified, GM could not sell it as a regular car. It was a factory black supercharged 3800 car originally, and it is now custom powered by a custom built North Star V8. So it's pretty cool. So we're definitely gonna have to bring some content on that, share that with you guys, and I think you guys will get a kick out of it. It's pretty neat. It's just cool that it is a true one of one car built by Buick Engineering. But it's here finally, so yeah, it's pretty cool. We're excited about it. So. And everybody says that something's a one of one. Well, this is definitely, no doubt about it, a one of one. That's it. It's the only one they made. How about an Auburn badge? So anyway, that kind of gets us through some of the beginning stuff. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up tonight, but who wants to buy something in the meantime, right? Everybody wants to buy something. Randy's a half hour from Indy. Anybody want to buy something? Everybody wants to buy something. What do we got tonight, actually, anyway? This is kind of crazy. This auction pile thing is getting out of hand, actually. I've got some more new stuff in here from the auction. Wow, I don't even know where to start. There's so much stuff here. Cadillac did that with the EXT concept that was used in the second Matrix movie. Okay, I'm not familiar with that car. Speed auction, yeah, we probably should squeeze in a speed auction or two here tonight yet. That was kind of fun. We just grab something and hit the timer when we grab it and go 60 seconds. Those were pretty fun. Randy is sighting in his scope. I'm going to get the timer ready. As always, I think, yeah, we're just got little stuff tonight. No big heavy stuff. So shipping will be included in the 48 states on this stuff. As always, check, money order, cash, Western Union, PayPal, friends and family, all good. We'll squeeze a few bits and pieces in here. Then we'll keep rolling with the chat and kind of work some stuff in as the evening goes. Man, I don't even know where to start. I got some amazing grease caps tonight. Of course, we got license plates, some cool Kansas stuff, a few more new Kansas, some different states, cans, emblems. I got some stuff that didn't get paid for that's all worked back into the pile. So where should we start? I tell you what, these little cans have been sitting here for like 2 months, and I keep forgetting to sell them. They're sitting right off over the side, and I keep forgetting to grab them. We've had some fun with these in the past. I'm going to sell you both of them at the same time because one's got a bad spout. We've had some fun with these. You guys dig them. These things literally have cobwebs on them from sitting here. They've been sitting here so long. So I'm going to sell them right now. Then we'll squeeze it. We'll grab something else and keep moving. But we've had a lot of fun with these on this galvanized tin service station stuff. How about a couple of 1 quart spouts? They're cute little guys, 1 quart liquid. This one had a flex spout. It's broken. Start with the steering wheel. The steering wheel's a raffle. And this one here. This one is a fixed spout. Let me give you the size on these, and then we're going to hit the timer. This one is about 8.5 from the bottom to the tip of the spout height. This one is, with the broken spout, about 9 to the tip of the broken spout. We're just going to sell you both of them. They're cute little dudes. They're fun. Neat little cans. This one doesn't say anything. This one says 1 quart liquid, C1 on it. So anyway, a pair of old service station cans. The handles are a little bit different. And we've got lots of bids already. Mark, Glenn, Pete. Pete at 18 is our high bidder at this point. Glenn at 20. Here we go. We're on the timer. We're going to start off with the pair. You're getting both of them. Yeah, there again, you don't think about it in today's world, but a lot, everybody had these in the shops back in the day. Dual lamps for the man cave. 30 seconds gone. 60 seconds left to go. Glenn at 20. I got Kevin at 22, but I had Glenn first on my screen. They would make cute little flower vases. That's true. But you're getting the pair. Glenn at 20. One minute gone. 30 seconds left. Kevin, 27. As we're getting close to the end. Mark, 21, but I've got Kevin at 27. And that does it. Going into Kevin Brown's box at 27. Let's see what else we got floating around here. That's true, Kevin. Hey, there's Leo stopping by. Okay, let's Scott's with us on Facebook. Let's catch a grease cap and a couple plates here in a minute. This grease cap's kind of banged up, but you can still make out most of the wording, which is the important part, but a little bit cheaper one, but still a cool one. For our Pontiac fans, Pontiac, Chief of the Sixes. This grease cap's definitely banged up. Over here on this side, we can still obviously make out the Pontiac very clearly. The only thing that's missing is we can't really make out sixes. We see the Chief of, we see the Pontiac lettering on it. It was a hex head out here on the side. It's about 2 3/8 across the back. And about 2 inches across the hex on the front on the Pontiac Chief of the Sixes grease cap. So anyway, let's get going on the Pontiac grease cap, catch a couple plates. And We got some great stuff coming up tonight. Anyway. Pontiac's too rough for everybody, apparently. I thought it was okay because it still said Pontiac on it, but maybe that's just me. $30 seconds gone. 60 seconds left to go. Pete, 5. Yeah, it's about how Johns would have looked on his car. One minute gone, 30 seconds left to go. About ready to wrap it up. Pete at 5. We're going to throw this in his pile the way it looks. Mark at 6, right at the end. So we can add that to Mark's stuff. Let's catch a couple plates. I can't tell you what year they are because I don't know. How can I not know what year plates are? Because I've never taken them out of the package. I do see that the numbers are consecutive. So I do know it's 25 and 26, and it's a trailer plate. But I don't know what year they are. The red trailer tags. So let's find out together. Since they are consecutive, we're going to sell them together. Okay, here it is. The first time this has been out of the wrapper since 1965. The first time, 60 years. This has never been out in 60 years. Holy cow, that's a good looking plate. Wow. John at 20. And along with it, let's take this one out for the first time in 60 years. What do you think of that? A little bit of light surface rust on the edge. 25 and 26 with envelope. Glad they got around to letting you know. Wake up. That's true, Glenn. 25, 26, brand new, first time out of the envelope. You will get the envelopes as well. First time they've been out in 60 years. John at 20. Here we go. We're live on the timer. We tried to, Randy, just past that 30-second mark. But these are sharp. Holy cow. One minute gone, 30 seconds left to go. HG is the county. These were Hodgman County. Kansas used numbers for counties. John's like, hurry up, get this over with. Yep, so there's probably some snipers out there on these. Yep, there's Briggs at 25. And then they went to 2-letter designation for the county. John at 26. Briggs at 30. Just a couple seconds left. And that does it. Briggs at 30. And John came back with 31. Big Job at 33. But it was Briggs at 30 when the timer hit 130. Okay, let me get these things back in their respective envelopes. And so we squeeze one more in real quick. Good point, Leo. How about that? I tell you what, let's do a different plate, a different state plate. Let's catch one more license plate that's a whole different animal, and then we'll get on with some more of the chat, talk about the raffle. And we'll catch a few more segments, and then we'll slide a few more auction pieces in here after a bit. But let's go back 84 years, and let's go up north to 1941. I don't remember it, Hubcap. I'd have to go back through my notepad and double check and see. I don't remember off the top of my head. If you want to give me a shout this week, I can double check and see. I don't remember for sure. Just at a quick glance, it looks like we are, but I would have to double check and spend some time with it. But let's go up north to America's Dairyland. Yes, let's go 1941 up to Wisconsin. I told you we were going to mix some different states in here. I came up with some other stuff. This is all embossed in the plate, in the tag stamped in it. It did have a bend in it right here at some point in its life. But otherwise, I mean, this is still pretty decent original paint, cool lettering, cool, Dairyland. John starting us off at 10. It's a little bit different on size than we're used to. 13.5 by 6 1/4. So 6 1/4, 13.5, 1941, America's Dairyland, Wisconsin. And let's roll with it. John starting us off at 10. Mark 12, John 15. Yeah, it is. It's kind of a different font. It's just kind of a different plate all the way around, different size. And this is actually just past the 30-second mark. This is one that has the crease reversed where the bump is on the back. And this is actually a channel along the front. We've seen that on a few plates in the past. But an interesting piece, John at 15 as we come up on the 1 minute mark. 1 minute gone, 30 seconds left to go. David D at 18. John 19. Somebody will throw a 25 or something on this and cover everybody up. We're going to find out here in a few seconds. David D at 20. Just a few seconds left. Mark, 23. And that does it. Mark's 23. Big Job had a 33 that was to come in at 131. Mark had a 25 at 133. So Mark Kirk at 23 is who we had at the 130 mark. So, yeah, at this rate, Kevin, you might need a trailer because Mark's filling a box up too. So, yeah, and, there's always a little bit of a delay. And when it gets right down there to the last couple seconds, it's literally a crapshoot. So, on this small stuff, Art, there is not. If we do something bigger or heavier, I will announce if there's going to be individual shipping on it. So on this smaller stuff, shipping's included in the 48 states. That's what we're doing next. Wake up. We'll put the auction pad off to the side for a few minutes, and we'll talk about a few other things, including the raffle. This month, we are giving away this super cool 1953 Buick steering wheel. Great colors, like we talked about a couple weeks ago when we announced it. That's right. That's right, Mark. Wanted something that was kind of cool, somewhat generic, but had a great look to it, and this thing's fit the bill. To get your name into the big Buick oil can for the raffle, it is $1 per chance. You send me $5, you're in here 5 times, $10, you're in here 10 times, $20, you're in here 20 times. That's how it works. At the end of the month, we will have the drawing. The first name out of the big Buick oil can will get the steering wheel. Depending on entry, sometimes we throw something else in there, but minimum, we're at least going to give away the steering wheel, as well as 10 entries into the next raffle. So there will be at least 2 names drawn, possibly 3, depending on the amount of entries. We kind of do it that way. If there's a ton of entries, we add a little more to it. If it's a slow raffle and not a lot of entries, then we just kind of give away the main prize as well as the entries into the next month. No problem, John. Sounds good. Who is in this week? Who's in the can? Or from the last 2 weeks, actually. John Sanderson, Dennis Chapman, Mark Tellen, Randy Ellenberger, Ron Levesque, and Big Job. So, if you think you got in within the last 2 weeks and I did not read your name, then let me know. Otherwise, we're going to give that away here in a couple weeks. What date did we pick for that? November 2nd. Since October 31st is a Friday, November 2nd, we will be giving that away. And, PayPal, check, money order, whatever's easier for you guys to get you in. And if you add it to an auction winning or whatever, just make sure you put on there, X amount for auctions, X amount for raffle. That way I make sure I get the proper amount of entries into the can for what you want. But that's the scoop. Wake up on this month's raffle, the 1953 Buick steering wheel in all her glory. We had a lot of people asking about steering wheels. That's kind of what led to finding a cool steering wheel. Is every time I've asked, what do you guys think? I don't do any cards. I don't do any cards at all. Wake up. So that wouldn't work. I think you can use your card through PayPal and then send it to me through PayPal, I think, if you wanted to do it that way. But I don't do I don't take any cards myself. So, but here in a couple of short weeks, that's going to be heading to a new owner. So excited about it. Like I said, every time I've asked you guys what ideas anybody had, steering wheel was a pretty common one. So when I came up with this one, it was a little more than I wanted to spend for a raffle piece, but it fit the bill. It looked great. So that's what we did. So I just hope we sell enough raffle tickets to cover the cost of it, as well as shipping, because that thing's pretty good sized. It's going to be to get that in a box with some packing, that's going to be a fairly decent sized box. So sounds good. Wake up. The PayPal address, the email that's on it is actually in the text part of the video. If you go back and click on the click on the video after we're done. The email address, nobodyelsesauto@gmail.com, is the one to send it to. And just put a note on there for the October raffle. So, hey, there's Bill stopping by. Auburn badge. Anyway, what else has been going on? New inventory. We haven't talked about that yet. Obviously, we got back from the swap meet with a load there the first of the week, but I only picked up one vehicle this week. Dad and I went and got one yesterday. Went and picked up a 65 F250 yesterday that we'll be bringing you some content on. And I've got some stuff to go get this week, so hopefully all that comes together as well. So hopefully we'll have some more stuff to talk about next week, and possibly we'll find some cool stuff at the Hutch swap meet as well. So we'll see how all of that shakes out here over the next week. But didn't get a lot in this week, but still had one come in that we had to talk about. Another thing I want to catch real quick, what have you guys been up to? Let's check out the No Buddies page. If you are not on the No Buddies page on Facebook, get over there, jump on, answer the questions. Andy or Zach will get you in. They are the administrators on that page. I don't have anything to do with it. They put that together for us. So jump over there, answer the questions, keep up with all the No Buddies and what they've got going on, including the super cool artwork that Matt keeps coming up with. Hubcap does some just knockout artwork. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, so when I see the stuff he comes up with, that is awesome. Briggs Garage picked up a new patina truck this week, it looks like. And another yard disappearing. Zach posted one of his normal yards in his area back east is crushing out. And that's like we've talked about before, guys. I think that's just going to continue to happen more and more and more. More car show stuff. You guys throw up a lot of cool car show stuff. Andy's next up a Jeep. Kyle's Mustang. That actually is a pretty cool Mustang horn button with the gear around it. John Sanderson out with more horn buttons. Tractor Mike. Oh, did you guys see the picture of Tractor Mike's shop? He's got it jam-packed full of cool stuff. So anyway, and like I always tell you guys, I do try to check this once or twice a week. I don't always comment. I just don't stop comment on anything on Facebook, but I do enjoy it. I do like to keep up with what you guys got going on. Awesome, Briggs. We'll get you marked down. So be sure to check that out. If you're not in that group yet, jump over there, answer the questions, and they will get you approved so you can be part of the No Buddies Facebook page. Something we haven't gotten to in the last couple of episodes, so we're going to jump in and catch it now a little bit early before we get to some of this other stuff, is story time. Story time's kind of been neglected lately. If you guys haven't been with us on a regular basis, we have scrapbooks and files of cars that Dad fixed up and flipped back in the 70s and 80s. We're going to catch another one of those tonight. This is a car that wasn't around very long. I'm not even sure what happened to it. I'm sure Dad will probably remember. He can probably shed a little more light on it. There's only one picture. It was only around for a couple months, and it was an insurance deal on this 1976 Pontiac Bonneville Coupe. So there's actually paperwork from the insurance company in here from when Dad bought this. It doesn't say what was wrong with it. So maybe Dad will remember. This was in August of 1983. It had Rally 2s on it. And it was a bid deal where they had to submit an offer on it to the insurance company. On August 22nd of 1983 for $200. Oh, it was hit on the right side. Dad said it was hit on the right side. Okay. So it was wrecked. And he bought it from the insurance company in August of 83. Okay, let's see. What do we do to it? Add antifreeze, oil and filter. Belonged to Harold Cotwitz, who was actually the Pontiac dealer back in the 70s. R&R interior trim, straightened quarter panel. So sounds like you must have had to pull the back seat and rear quarter panel trim out to get in behind it, and had some time in straightening out the rear quarter. And that was about it. So just had to straighten the quarter and then just clean up and detail and mount and balance 4 tires. So had to fix the quarter and then put tires on it. So see what we've got for two. We've got a few tickets on this, but it sounds like most of this was probably labor and then probably a little bit of material on the fixing the quarter panel, and then just basic service job. So, yeah, that's about all these tickets are, is just repair the right rear quarter. And actually, there isn't even any parts, so it must have just been the just mainly labor to repair it, and then a little bit of material. Oh, because Dad never finished it. Okay, that explains it. So it's got a couple hours on the quarter panel, but he sold it that way. So that makes more sense. That's why we've only got a picture of the left side. So he didn't actually fix the whole thing. So he put tires on it, and there's no material for ticket either. So he sold it while it was still wrecked. So he serviced it, checked everything over, made sure it was mechanically okay, and then sold it still needing quarter panel work for $600. So wasn't too bad a deal. But that would explain why we've only got one picture of that particular car. So it was actually, Dad said it was a really nice, really loaded car. Since it was the Pontiac dealers, he said he was retiring, and Dad said that he ordered this specifically to be his last car, and then it got wrecked. So, but that would explain it as to why there was no other parts, material, or tickets for any of that stuff, and no other pictures other than this one. But in 1983, made $340 on it. So when you think back to the time period, that was pretty good money on a quick flip for just doing basic maintenance and checking it out mechanically and making sure everything was good there. That wasn't a bad deal in 1983. That's true, but you couldn't buy the quarter for $600. You darn sure couldn't straighten a quarter for $600 with labor in today's world. So there's a little bit more of the rest of the story. Oh, it was hit hard. Dad said it needed a door, a fender, a door, and the quarter. So I'm wondering if maybe that straightening the quarter was just enough to get it open. Yeah, the figure's done with him. So it needed the whole right side. So he made $340 and didn't even get into any of that. Just checked it over mechanically. So you darn sure couldn't buy a quarter, a door, and a fender for $600 today for anything. But there's a little bit more of the rest of the story on the 1976 Bonneville two-door from 1983. That's true. You still look good at McDonald's because they were handing the food out to your driver's side. Let's catch an emblem and then a promo and then a cap. Kind of an interesting emblem. This is actually one I got last weekend up in Nebraska in a box of emblems I got. I always thought these were a pretty unique car. One of the guys that I worked with that trained me when I started with Chrysler had one of these cars. And it was kind of my first introduction to them. And that's why they were kind of neat. Always one of those cars that's always kind of been there, just never really generated a lot of attention, were the 60s era Chrysler Imperials. And a car that was really not very, I mean, an Imperial was a fairly rarely seen car anyway. Even harder to find were the Imperial Crown Coupes. And that's what this badge is from, a mid-60s Imperial Crown Coupe. These were a big, huge, two-door hardtop Imperial. And they were good-looking cars. They just never gained the traction. They had a 66 at Mecum, Tulsa this year. A nice driver. In fact, I think it should be coming out in the article. I think I wrote that one up. I remember taking pictures of it. Let me look real quick. That just rang a bell, reminded me of that car that I saw at Tulsa this year. But the Imperial Crown Coupe, I mean, they had a cool roof line, very formal looking car. Yeah, they were every bit of 20 feet long. That's for sure, Mark. No doubt about that. But they were a very, very sharp car. Yeah, they are built. There is no doubt about it. They are big. Yep, I did actually write that car up. So if you're a subscriber to Old Cars Weekly, there should be a picture of one coming up. I bet that comes out in the next issue or two on Mecum, Tulsa from this year. And that car, they don't bring a ton of money. This was a good driver. And it was donated to be sold for charity. Paint was okay, showing some age, but it still looked decent, had some checking in it. All the trim and everything was good. What did I find? 2,373 66 is built, and this would have been the emblem that would have been used on a 66, I believe, because this emblem was used for 3 or 4 years. And 2,373 66 Crown Coupes built. And the thing about this car is all the trim was good. Hey, there's Steve stopping by. But that car hammered at 11 grand, so it was 12.1 out the door. So when you think about that, that's a lot of car for the money and something that's definitely different and cool. So that's why this emblem kind of jumped out at me. I had ties to him because I remembered with the guy that I trained with Chrysler had him. Remembered I'd written one up for Mecum, Tulsa, and just thought it was a pretty sharp emblem with a cool font. And there again, most people don't even know what a Crown Coupe is. They made 2,300 of them in 66. Probably not a lot more of them in 64, 65, or 67, or 68. So Crown Coupe is definitely just something you don't see or hear a lot. That's why I thought this emblem was worth a minute or two of discussion. And I'm glad some of you guys were able to look them up, check them out, and see what you think of the Imperial Crown Coupes. And like I said, if you get Old Cars Weekly, you'll probably see one in the Mecum Tulsa article that I wrote up that should be coming out anytime. This one, I believe, is the C-pillar. It is 7 3/4 long. So it's 7 3/4 long and about 2 inches high on these C's on the crown coupe. There's also a smaller crown coupe emblem, but I believe these were the C pillar emblems. So that's not one you see very often. Definitely thought it was worth spending a second or two on tonight. Glad you guys enjoyed checking it out. I don't know what the base price was, but yes, they were. It was the same thing as ordering a new Cadillac or a new Lincoln. They were definitely the upper crust cars, extremely well built, extremely heavy, and usually loaded with options. So yeah, they were a high dollar car. And you got to remember back in the day, Cadillac was still, and to a certain extent still is, but Cadillac was cream of the crop. So you had to be a pretty devoted Mopar guy to order an Imperial, or a pretty dyed-in-the-wool Ford guy to buy a Lincoln. And that's why, Lincolns and Imperials always kind of drug behind. And in fact, Imperial was actually its own brand at that point. It was not a Chrysler. It was the Imperial by Chrysler. There are actually Imperial dealer signs. There were dealers that had Imperial on their building as a separate brand, because that's how they were marketed. Imperial was its own brand. $5,733 base in 66. So yeah, I think that I bet that was more than a new base Corvette in 66. I bet you could buy a 327 Corvette for less than that in 66. And that's the base price was $5,733. So yeah, they were expensive, to say the least. But they're just cool. And now, they're different and they're unique. You see a lot of 60s Cadillacs. Kenny getting thirsty? But you don't see a lot of 60s Imperials. Or go buy 2 new Chevys. That's right, John. So yeah, it was they were neat cars, no doubt about it. Promo model. After tonight, we have 5 more Chevys to go. And this is kind of there. So there's 6 left. This was kind of the plainest one of the 6. So I thought we'll do it tonight. And remember, the next 5 Chevy promos are going to kind of start cranking up the cool scale. And we've seen a lot of cool. We've had a ton of cool ones, don't get me wrong. But we're going to end with a bang on some pretty neat stuff. So this is I'm going to call it the most common of the 6 that are left. 5 more to go. And then I don't know what I'm going to do after that, actually. Yeah, they were good-looking cars, John, no doubt about it. I do have a few other promos I have bought, since over the last year, but not a ton of them. Nothing on the magnitude of this Chevy collection that Dad and I got into at that auction a year ago. But tonight, and we do have a lot of Corvettes left, by the way. And some of them there's some really good ones. This one, probably one of the more plain ones, but as always with all of these, condition is just second to none, including this silver 1975. That's right, Bill. Good point. Your basic coupe, 75, was the last year for a convertible, I believe. I think you could still get a convertible in 75, if I remember correctly. But I think that was the last year. This one was a T-top coupe. Small back window, which carried through 77, I believe. I think 78 was when they went to the bigger back window. This one, we can see the license plate, the 1975 on it, on the front and the back. This is another one of those promos that, to get the metallic paint look, the body was painted. We can see it does have a gray interior, and if you look closely, it is a slightly different gray, as well as what we see on the bottom of this car is a more base gray without the metallic. So the body was painted. As with all of these from the 70s, we make sure they got that catalytic converter on there. They don't hardly show you anything for the actual engine or transmission, but they got the catalytic converter on there. As with all these promos, the bottom is just one piece of injection molded plastic. There is no other specific details to it. Like all these, this one has all its original tires and wheels. and really in pretty much like all these out of the Chevy collection, pristine condition and extremely well preserved, since these all went to the dealer's home every year. They picked out the ones they liked, took them home, put them on the shelf, and that's where they sat until last September when they had the auction and sold the collection off. And they sold 84 promos, and Dad and I brought 49 of them home, actually 50, but one of them was for Tractor Mike. So we ended up with 49 out of the 84 in our collection. So kind of crazy to think about. We have 5 left to go. After a whole year of working on this, of course, we missed a few when I was out of town and things like that. But down to the last 5. And we've saved a few of the best for last. Don't get me wrong. We have. I still got to get with you, Ron, on those Lincoln moldings, too. I do have them all. I don't have a match set of inserts, but I do have 4 good wheel opening moldings for your Lincoln, Ron. Whenever you get ready to do something, get with me on that. But I do have a set of 4, just not all with matched inserts. I've been meaning to call you. I just never stop and do it. The Chevy wagon that came with a milk truck, okay? Was that the one you were asking about steering wheel on, Mark? Was that you that made that comment earlier? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the whole video or not, but they dropped the grapple right on top of the dash of that car. That car's been here for 6 or 7 months. So when you said the Chevy wagon that just came in, that's what I was trying to kind of throwing me off, because that car's physically actually been here for 6 or 7 months. I just got the video up. But yeah, it's been here for a long time. I just hadn't gotten the video done on it yet. But no, they dropped the grapple right down on top of that, and they absolutely destroyed the entire dash. Dash, A-pillars, there's no way the steering wheel survived. The fronts of the doors, they destroyed all that part of the car. How about a cap? Anybody up for a cap? Yeah, I mean, it's that whole, I don't remember exactly what it looked like, but I know what the amount of destruction in that part of the car, I don't see how it survived. I can take a look at it again, but man, it was bad. Yeah, it was. Like I said, fortunately, I got them before they crushed them. But, yeah, the dash was pretty much at floorboard level. That's a good way to put it. So, yeah, if you guys didn't catch that video, you ought to check it out. It's bad. Well, like I said, the only good thing about it, and that's the only thing we can say is the only thing we can do is look at the good side of it, because that's how I found them. That's the way they were when I found them. The only good thing about it is I got the call on them before they were completely flat. And there's still a lot of parts there. There's still stuff worth saving. Divcos, if anything's a decent Divco, somebody's going to try to save it. And that one still has parts on it, and it's not savable. So it's, it puts it in parts car status, which they're both definitely parts cars. But had they gone into the crusher, they would not even be that. So what we've got is what we've got. And that's really about, that's the only way you have to look at it, because I didn't find them before that. And it's kind of one of those deals, no point in really crying over spilt milk, because it happened before I found them. I'm just fortunate that we were able to save what we could. And that's right, Mark. It didn't destroy the back side windows on it. They didn't smash the tailgate. So the tailgate's rusty, but all the guts are there. The back window frame is there. All that stuff is still there. So, I mean, for as terrible as it was, they wiped out a 5960 Chevy Dash, which, and I've got a stack of those too. And I've got plenty of 5960 Dashes if anybody needs one. But in fact, I still got the cool one out of John Sanderson's car that I've done nothing with just because I bought it because it was so cool. But yeah, so it's a shame that they destroyed the dash in that car, but they didn't destroy the back of the car. The dashes are all the same, but they didn't hurt the back of it any worse than it was to start with. So all that wagon stuff is there. It's still here if you need it back, John. It hasn't moved. It's still sitting in the same spot where you saw it last time, and that's where I unloaded it. Because it looks too good. But it literally has not moved. So if you need it back, you know where it's at. But kind of an interesting grease cap tonight. Going way back. Way, way back. Yeah, Pete's seen it. It's a great looking piece. Original, I mean, completely original. Completely original. Original finish, original color. It's a great piece. And I mean, it's still in my good shop. But yeah, it's a beautiful looking dash. There is no doubt about it. That's why it's still there, because it is so cool. I got 2 or 3 more of them stacked out in a trailer that I can sell. But that one's still sitting here. So, of course, you never know. If John may want it back, may show up with some other parts to trade it back. Who knows? But man, it's a good looking piece. There's no doubt about it. But going way, way back to the late 1800s for our next topic. It's all right, John. You know where it's at. It literally hasn't moved since I bought it from you. So I actually should move that thing. It's kind of in the way, but that's actually something I do need to pick up over there. But no, it's still there. It's not a big deal. If you need it back, we'll figure something out. Hosea Dallas Dort and William Crapo Durant, Billy Durant, had established the Flint Road Cart Company in 1886. 140 years ago. 140 years ago, the beginning of transportation, which became the Durant-Dort Carriage Company. When William Durant went off to set up Buick, GM, and Chevrolet, Hosea Dort stayed with the carriage business. However, in 1915, Dort entered the automobile business with the Dort Motor Car Company. So Dort, an interesting story with Durant's involvement, which, eventually led to General Motors. But when Dort shifted over to cars from carriages, the Dort was a well-made small car, and quality goes clear through was a company slogan. Quality goes clear through. The first Dort was a 17-horsepower 4-cylinder, 5-passenger touring car, and was well received with nearly 9,000 units built. A wider range of body styles was offered from 1917. Sales increased and reached in excess of 30,000 in 1920. The post-World War recession resulted in falling sales thereafter. A 45-horse 6-cylinder model was introduced in 1923 and was the only model offered in 1924, the final year of Dort production. The Dort was also assembled in Canada by William Gray under the name Gray Dort. So, a little bit of history, interesting history that eventually led to General Motors with Durant's involvement. That maybe was this what got Durant started in the vehicle business? Is this what lit his fire, which got him involved with Buick, which turned into General Motors? Who knows? We're speculating on what happened 140 years ago. But regardless, needless to say, the Dort was a very, very important part of history with Durant's involvement, that branching out into GM. Dort going from carriages to motor cars, which was pretty typical back in the day. However, short-lived after they switched. They started making carriages in 1886. nearly 20 years later in 1915 is when, or no, 30 years later in 1915 before they went to motor cars. So almost 30 years in the carriage business. However, when they switched to motor cars, a short-lived life of only about 9 production years from 1915 to 1924, or basically 10 production years, depending on how they fell. So 30 years in the carriage business, 10 years in the motor car business. And that's what brings us up to tonight's, grease cap for the Dort. How cool is that? A lot of history right there. The beginning of GM, the ties to the early GM. This is a smaller cap. Very clear the way it's stamped in here. Two and 3/4 in diameter across the back. Internal threads like all these had. And a very clear stamping with the lines. Lots of hearts. That's good. With the lines circling it and then the Dort across the middle. Very basic, but very clear. The hex head, obviously, to spin it on and off. But an interesting, good-looking cap with a ton of history going back to its ties with William Durant. And obviously, they quit, production ended in 24. That's right, Bill. Simple but clear. It's over 100 years old because they didn't even make cars in 1925. So well over 100 years old on the Dort grease cap. And maybe it's an earlier one. Could be 105, 110 years old. But a pretty interesting piece, needless to say. So I've got a Dort badge, and I've always been somewhat, don't know if say fascinated is the word, but intrigued by the Dort company. Just, because of the involvement with Durant, knowing where Durant went from there, with that being his introduction into the vehicle world. Like, you can't say automobile world because at the time automobile didn't exist really. And what it led to and where it went from that partnership with Dort and Durant in the late 1800s. And then you look at what it turned into today. Kind of crazy, Dort dork? Yeah, I guess you could say that. I guess that would be a fair way to put it. About 10 years ago, I could have bought a Dort sign, which, man, I really, really wanted it. I think it was Smaltz, probably 3 or 4 foot long. At the time, I just couldn't swing it. Just didn't have the money. And at the time, in today's world, in today's sign world, it was probably cheap. At the time, I think it was $1,500 to $2,000. But just at the time, I just couldn't swing it. And he sold it, and it's long gone, But it, yeah, now John's a Dort dork. Yeah. It is interesting. I'll have to dig that Dort badge out. Hey, Tractor Mike stopping by tonight. But it's just an interesting story, the way all that ties together. And there's a lot of that back in that era, just like the Ford and the Cadillac at Pioneer Village, where their cars are almost identical twins because Henry Ford developed both of them. There's so much of that stuff out there, and so much of that is getting lost to time. And that's why some of the stuff intrigues, both Addie and myself about this history, because there are so many neat tie-ins of what happened 100, 120, even 140 years ago now, that led us to where we're at today when we look at the car world today and how things operate and how things function. And we think back, to that time 100 years ago when there were 2,500 car manufacturers. Can you imagine that? 2,500 automobile manufacturers in the United States. They were everywhere. When we look back, just look at the brands that we've lost over the last 30 years. With Oldsmobile, Pontiac, even some of the new brands. Saturn was an upstart that's gone. Plymouth, Mercury, a lot of that stuff, it's kind of crazy to think, that how much the industry has changed from 2,000 plus manufacturers 100 years ago. And you look at who still survived. Buick. I think Buick was incorporated before Ford. I'm not sure. They were both 1903, but Buick and Ford, definitely, and Cadillac is old, but just a few of these brands, even existed at that point and have made it this far. And I'm kind of curious now. I'm kind of curious to see when they were all incorporated, because right in that 1902, 1903 window, Buick, Cadillac, and Ford were all right in that window. But I'm not sure when they were incorporated, when they started production. But I do know Buick is right in there as one of the oldest manufacturers around. Now, obviously we all know Daimler is the oldest, beginning in the late 1880s, I believe. But as far as U.S. manufacturers, Buick is right up there. So, and there again, and I'm kind of rambling here, I know, but that's where our fascination comes, just like this. Just like this badge I'm sitting here staring at. Who's ever heard of a Dover? And this is a knockout badge. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, guys. This is an amazing badge. We searched for this one for a long time. But this was a truck that was sold by Studebaker in the late 20s. It's just, and that's where, our fascination with grease caps and badges comes from. And if you guys want me to shut up and get on to something else, we can, because I'm kind of rolling here a little bit on what we're talking about. But that's kind of the deal. Hudson. I said Studebaker. Hudson. The Dover was a half-ton commercial version of the Essex Super 6 and was offered as a pickup truck or a delivery van using an L-head 6-cylinder engine rated at 55 horse. The Dover name was dropped at the end of 1930, and subsequently, Hudson vans and pickups were made by Essex and Terraplane under their own names. Great, Randy. I hope you're learning something. Speed auction. All right, we'll see if we'll grab something here in a second, Austin. We'll squeeze that in here in a minute. Now, these are very hard to find. Obviously, only made for a short time period, 1929 and part of 1930. The attractive Dover emblem is popular with collectors. The Dover radiator emblem is scarce. This is on our favorite website, American Auto Emblems. However, because of its rarity and desirability, there are repops on these. The key to the Dover badge, there's two keys actually to the Dover badge. One is the maker's mark. The maker's mark right here has to be there. If it is blank on the back, then it is a reproduction. The other thing about the reproduction versus the original is the head and the frame clearly has red enameling between them. I'm sure you guys can see that. There's a very distinct area of red enameling between the top of the head and the frame where it says USA up here on top. The reproduction badge, the head is almost, not quite, but almost touching the frame. There's if any, just barely a line of red enameling through here. There's not a distinct gap of red between the head and the USA up here in the frame on the reproduction. So those are the two keys. If you ever see a Dover badge, you have to have, this much red between the head and the frame, a noticeable amount, part of that red field. Cadillac was August 2nd of 02. Thanks, Briggs. So Cadillac, definitely one of the oldest names. And I know Ford would have been after that. And then I think Buick was 03. And then, of course, the maker's mark on the back to ensure that you have a real Dover badge. But these are knockout badges. Absolutely amazing. Very short, year and a half or so production run on a specialty Hudson commercial truck line. So anyway, I apologize, guys. I kind of got off on a tangent, but that's where our fascination with these grease caps and these badges come from, is this history. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you're learning something from it and having fun with it, because that's all, part of what we're trying to do here. And I enjoy it, and that's why we collect it. Glad you like it, Savage. And we've looked at a ton of my badges over the years. We've been into this for 282 episodes now. But if you guys want, we haven't looked at a lot of these enamel badges in a long time. We like to look at this one a lot. I know we like to look at this one and this one all the time. But if you guys want, I can start going back through some of these enamel badges again. We do pick up a few occasionally, but that is something that, that's totally up to you guys. If you're interested, we can start doing some, going back with an enamel badge, and some of them we've seen before. There's probably some that we didn't get to. But that's up to you guys. If we want to start work. Oh, whoa, hold up. Supercharged super chat from Randy. Appreciate that, Randy. Supercharged super chat made us bust out another badge, the original 1935-1936 Auburn Boat Tail Speedster supercharged side hood emblem. Thanks to Randy for the supercharged super chat for the big badge. So anyway, Pete said he always enjoyed them. Like I said, we can sure start working some of those back in. I've got hundreds of them. It literally got to the point where we had done so many of them, and I have so many boxes of them that I didn't even hardly remember what we hadn't done after doing 100 of them. But if you guys are cool with that, we can absolutely start working some of this stuff back in. Kevin L's up for it. So whatever you guys think, we can start working in, a couple badges, a regular, kind of like our Crown Coupe badge and an enamel badge. If you guys want to start doing some of that, but they're not all quite this magnificent. I ain't going to lie to you, but we do have some pretty good ones that, the Wolverine, the Indiana motor trucks. We do have some pretty nice ones of these in our collection that we're very proud to own. And Austin's up for it. Okay. We can start working some more of them in. And like I said, and some of them have been, so long ago that you may not even remember them. So great. Sounds like a lot of positives for getting some of those badges back out again. So we can definitely do that. Not a problem whatsoever on my end. I sell very few enamel badges, Wake Up. Very few. And that's another thing I was thinking, Kevin, there's probably a lot of guys that didn't see them. But I know some of you guys that, definitely did see them a couple of years ago. So, and I don't want to keep rehashing the same stuff unless you guys want to see it again. There again, we'll do whatever you guys ask because this is what you guys want to see. So, But anyway, we got a can, we got a brochure we want to get into yet tonight. But in the meantime, Austin wants to do a flash auction. So here we go. Co-op grease can, 1 pound grease can. We're on the timer. This is an original metal co-op 1 pound grease can. We are live on the timer on this on a flash auction. It is 4.5 inches tall. Co-op grease. Nice clean can. Ron at 20. Mark at 10. I've got Ron at 20. Here's the seam. It is a metal can. Co-op boo. All right, Tractor Mike. So Ron at 20 on the 1 pound co-op grease can. Mark at 21. 30 seconds gone. This is a flash auction. We're going 60 seconds. Ron at 22. I knew Tractor Mike had a comment since it was a co-op can. I just didn't know when it was coming. Ron at 22. We're coming down to the wire. We got 20 seconds left. Mark 23 on the co-op 1 pound grease can. LaRon 24. We got a few seconds left to go. Anybody got a knockout punch out there, or is it going to be Ron at 24 as we wind this one down? Mark 25. And that does it. Mark at 25. Okay. So Austin didn't like the fact that it was a co-op can, apparently. So sorry about that, Austin. I didn't mean to grab the wrong thing for you. Austin is smart. So anyway, we've got a regular can and we've got some classifieds to check out. All right, Austin, how about this? We'll do another flash auction right now on a 1938 Iowa plate. 1 minute, we're live. 38 Iowa, another flash auction. Original paint, kind of creamy off-white, blue letters. It is 12 5/8 by 5.5. Austin at 20. John at 22. Is this better, Austin? Austin 23. Coming up on the 30-second mark. There you go. Okay. All right. This is original paint. It does have some cracking and checking, but this thing still looks great. We're past the 30-second mark. Austin at 23. Any snipers out there on this one? Who knows what's going to happen? This is a straight original plate that is almost 90 years old. You better bid big and win. That's right, Randy. We got a few seconds left. Austin at 23. Ron 29. Big job 30. And that does it. Big job at 30. I thought this plate was good enough. I figured there was something around that $30 window in there. And Ron and Big Job were both in there. Big Job at 30. All right. That was fun. I wake everybody up. Does anybody want to bid on some killer grease caps? Or we just want to go on to other stuff? Yep. All right. I had a little secret I didn't let you guys in on. The Dort cap and the Dort cap. I have 2 extras. On the door caps we just talked about. All right. The high bidder is going to have his choice. He can take one or he can take them both if he wants to keep the pair together. If he only takes one, then we will re-auction the other one. So high bidder has his choice to take one or both. If he only takes one, we will re-auction the second one. We're all dorks now. That is right. This will be a regular auction since we're kind of just talking about it right now. So let's go ahead and get it started on the timer. High bidder can take one or both. If they only want one, we will auction off the other one right after that. These are original Dort caps. Excuse me. Randy at 50. We are on the timer. We're ticking away. $30 seconds gone. I figured there was going to be some people swinging on these. These are cool. I did keep one for me. Actually, I kept 2 for me. So I kept a pair of them. I got them at different times, so I don't know if they came off the same car or not. But I got a pair one time, and then I came up with another. And then I came up with this pair. 1 minute gone. 30 seconds left to go. Randy at 50. We're ticking away. We're coming down to the wire. We'll see if Randy if that's a knockout punch at 50. Nope, Ron at 55. Pete 56. And that does it. Pete at 56. Do you want one or do you want both, Pete? Just one. Okay. Which one do you prefer? Is there one that you like better than the other, or do you care? Pick one. Okay. We'll sit one of these off for Pete. And I'm actually going to put his name on it. Okay. Except my tape ripped. That didn't work out very good. Bear with me for a second here, guys. I want to keep these straight. I don't want to get them mixed up. Okay, we got Pete's name on this one. That means we've got one left. All right, here we go. One left. One more shot. John at 30. Definitely one of those deals that I don't know when you're going to see another one. I'm sure there's some more out there, but not a very common one. Randy at 50. Just past that 30-second mark. I'm going to grab a couple more things to do while we're here in the middle of the auction here, and then we'll get on the brochure tonight, guys. Oh, and this can. Holy cow, this oil can is knockout. Coming up on that 1 minute mark. This is a cool license plate. We're going to sell that here in a minute. 1 minute is gone. Ron, 53. We're ticking away. What's going to happen on this one? Few seconds left. Ron at 53. We're coming down to the end. And that did it. Ron got it at 53. Randy had a 55 in there. It was just a couple seconds too late. Yeah, that's right, Randy. All right. We got Ron's name on this one now. So we're all good to go. They're all marked. Keep them straight that way. All right. Let's do one or two more auction pieces real quick, and then we'll get into a can and an article. This plate here is banged up, beat up. You bet, Pete. It's they are cool. No doubt about it. This plate was used. It was banged up. It's got great color, but it was used, and it was used hard. But it's cool when they're set up this way. 1959 Kansas truck with the farm tag still attached to it. This is exactly as this was used on a truck in 1959. Now, the farm is a completely separate tag. Ron started us off at 10. As we can see on the back, we turn it around. This is bolted to it. Like I said, it's got great color, but it's got dings and dents. You can see some of that in it. Has two extra, or an extra hole here, and this hole's been elongated. It's bent a little bit, but it's been this way since 1959. This was, this is the matching color. This is the extra plate that came with it for a farm truck that was bolted on there. Check out the square nuts that was bolted on here in 1959. No, it's not terrible. It isn't. But it's not, we've been opening new ones. So when you compared it to we've been opening new ones out of the package, it's a little rough compared to that. Yeah, we've had a couple of different ones of these. But, different years and things like that. And I may have one or two other ones left, but you just don't see them like this original, just the way they came, just the way it came off the truck 66 years ago. So anyway, Ron started us off at 10. Let's get this thing on the timer. And that's true. It is a little reality on them. There's no doubt about it. And it still looks pretty darn decent. So here we go. We'll see what happens. 30 seconds gone. Absolutely could have been on a grain truck for sure. Ron at 10. Briggs 12, Mark 14. Getting two plates for one. They've just happened to have been together for 66 years. 1 minute gone, ticking away with 30 seconds left, just under 30 seconds left now. Briggs, 15. Mark, 19. A few seconds left, but we're taking away fast. Mark at 19. Austin, 22. And that does it. Austin at 22. Briggs had a 20, but the cover, Austin's 22 had him covered. Austin at 22. All right, guys, let's check out a can and a super cool sales brochure. You know, that's true, John. The farmer put that together 66 years ago. Think that we would be sitting here hanging out live on a computer, on your phone, on your TV in some instances, talking about this stuff and admiring to what to them was just normal everyday life. And now it's going to hang on Austin's wall in his garage as a reminder of those times. But yeah, that's true, John. You think about, you know, if those guys were sitting here today thinking about this, yeah, it's really kind of crazy to think about. But anyway, let's catch an oil can, then let's catch a brochure, and we'll see if we've got a few minutes. We may even catch a few classified ads from 1954. T461, okay? But if you guys want to grab your oil can books, and like I said, if you want one and you didn't get one on the initial order, I did order a couple of extras this time so I can get them out with your next shipment. If you decide you want one, they are $25 a piece. And let's flip to page. Lost my spot here. Oh, I didn't mark the page. That's why. Page 87 in your oil can book. To one of the Texaco pages. Worth every penny. Yeah, it is cool. There is no doubt about it. So, if you want to get to page 87, we're going to look at can number 984. 984, Texaco aircraft with large arrow, round logo, Texaco Incorporated, white, red, and green. December of 1961. Take a look at this one. If that ain't a good-looking can, I don't know what is. Doesn't have any animals or anything on it, but for one that doesn't have that, check this thing out. The colors are amazing. The big arrow, the round Texaco star. There goes the hearts. I got to see how many of these I've got. There's a possibility that I may sell one of these. I don't know for sure yet. I would imagine I'd probably get tired after going through 1,100 cans and looking them all up and documenting the colors and the ages and the values. Mike stopping by from Texas. This is a metal can. We see the seam back here. It is, Ron. I'm excited about it. Here's where they come up with the date. It is actually dated. I don't know if you guys will be able to make it out. 12 of 61. Blessing for getting to 1,100. Yeah. This is a Newell stock full can. SAE 50 on the top. But it is brand new, never been used, never been punched, top or bottom. It is still full. This particular one has a little bit of surface rust over here on this side, One interesting thing about it is there's not really much information or specifications on it. Lubricating oil, 1 U.S. quart, and that's about it. But it is odd that it is dated 12 of 61. Now, I'm not sure if this was a short run of these cans, or if they made them for 2 or 3 years and that's when they started them, so that's when they dated it. I'm not sure, but it is a looker with the colors and the arrow on it. Now, exactly, that's a perfect way to put it, John. It is simple, but it is colorful and cool. And this is definitely 60s era with that triangular rocket shape to it. Just a lot of good things happening with that can. In the when this book was written 20 years ago, they had the value at $30. So obviously we know that they're worth a lot more than that. So I would imagine that's probably $100 can today, especially in this condition. But I don't know. I got a couple of them here recently at an auction, and I need to go through my other ones and see what I've got before I do anything with them. But man, it is a good looking can. I was excited about it. I'm glad that you guys are excited about it, because I thought it was pretty darn sharp. So that's what we've got for tonight. Can number 984 in the book. Pete's never seen it. Pete's got a lot of cans. Right there, 984 in the book. In fact, 981 would be amazing. 981 would be amazing. They had 981 valued at $1,250 20 years ago. Yeah, that was valued at $1,250 20 years ago. So, let's go ahead. Take our marker. We'll put a little check mark right there on number 984 in our book. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. I don't remember when this was actually published, but it was about 20 years ago. (2003), just over 20 years ago. Obviously, a ton of great stuff in here. And if you haven't gotten one yet and you do decide you want one, let me know, since I did order a couple of extras this time. Last time I just ordered what was sold, but demand was, of course, we had a couple of orders right after that, so I got a couple of extras. But a great book. We're having a lot of fun with it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. And let me know if you want one. So. That's awesome, John. And actually, we and I think I told you guys this. This one here actually is one that I'm keeping in the office. Briggs wants one. Okay. No, he's still got some. If you want to add that to your payment, Briggs, and put on there $25 for the oil can book, they're $25. So it. Since I've got a couple extras, they should be here this week. I can get it in with that other stuff and get it headed your way. But man, if you guys haven't been here and saw some of the stuff in here, and like I said, there's no way that everything's in here with 1,100 cans, but there's some cool stuff in here. No doubt about it. But it's been a lot of fun. But like I told you guys earlier, this is an extra one I ordered on the last batch for me. Our original one is still literally, when did we buy that? I think she was in 6th grade. So I think that was the first time she went to Lawrence. So if she was in the 6th grade, she'd have been, 12? So probably 10, 11, 12 years ago. Yeah, one of the first years we went to Lawrence. And it's still, when we got back to the truck, we put it in the door panel, in the pouch in the door panel. Yeah, we didn't even really know Tom at that point. And that book is still in the door panel. I got it out to share it with you guys the first time, but it went right back in the truck because we take it with us, and we've checked cans off leaving the swap meet. So I get a kick out of that, John, that you carried yours around the round top, looking for cans. But yeah, I bet you look professional that way. So yep. So yeah, they're pretty amazing. I mean, that's what I got Addie for high school graduation, was an oil can. So yeah, we were gonna do some stuff with Tom on license plates at a swap meet here a couple years ago, and my phone screwed up. I think I've showed it to you. I don't know if I've showed you guys her graduation can or not. I don't remember. We can absolutely get Tom to do some stuff. There's no doubt about it. He was willing to do some license plate stuff, some differences in some Kansas license plates. So I'm sure he would. It's just a matter of getting the time to do it at a swap meet or sometime when I can catch him. I think that could be said I think that could fairly be said for any of us, John. But yeah, it did make for good conversation, at least. Now, did you find anything that was in the book? That's the next question. Did you find anything that you liked that was in the book at Round Top? And if you have, or if you're on the Nobody's page, throw it up there so we can check it out. But did you find any of the cans in the book that you wanted? Awesome, Briggs. I will put your name on one. But I don't remember if the have I showed you guys the can Addie got for graduation? Do you guys remember? Kmart can, sweet. Which one was it? The green, the red, or the gold, or the white? That's right. I did not get her I did not get her an oil can for college graduation. The gold, sweet. All right, so John found number 524 at Round Top this week. I love the Kmart cans because we had a Kmart, and who doesn't remember these green iconic, I don't know, it was blue-green Kmart cans, but look, they had white, gold, and red, white, red, and gold to go with the blue-green. So John scored number 524 last week. Sweet. Awesome. I'm glad you guys are putting them to good use. You want me to grab Addie's graduation can, guys, real quick? So that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are having fun with it. Oh, I didn't realize these. I didn't even look. They have other Kmart cans too. Pete wants to see it. Okay. Sinclair cans with a paper label. Automatic transmission fluids. Okay, let me grab Addie's graduation can. I don't think it's in here. I actually got it from Tom, but I don't think he had it in the book. No, let me grab it real quick. Hold on. Let me get this auction file out of the way. All right. I can make it out. Mark Stadhouse used Sears. Yeah. Okay, this is the can that I got Addie for high school graduation. These are very hard to find, and I was excited to get this. Tom sold me this one because he knew why I was buying it for her. But here it is. This was her high school graduation present. The blue Husky. They also made a yellow Husky. And these things have some pretty knockout graphics. So this is a great looking can, to say the least. we got the hearts and the fireworks. Now we got the big bulging eyes. So yeah, this is a pretty cool can. This is a pretty good one. Have any of you guys seen this one? Are you familiar with the Husky cans? I don't know if the blue is more common than the yellow, but when I say that, it's this blue background. They had blue and yellow. No, he does not have Husky in the book. I actually bought this can from him. This was out of his personal collection, but it's not in the book. I don't know if he didn't have it at the time or just didn't cover Husky or what, but it's a pretty cool one. So anyway, there it is, and as you can see, it's a metal can. This one has been relidded, so it's very slightly modified around the top up here, but it's pretty minimal. But it's a knockout can. So I guess you can show your wife this one, Kevin L, and see what she thinks about that. So. I actually have that over in the case with the Aero Eastern that is in the book. Awesome, Kevin. Glad you did. So anyway, guys, having a blast with this. Glad you guys like it. If you want one, let me know if you want your own copy. And we can order a few more if we need to, but just let me know. Obviously, I ordered 5 this time, and I think 3 of those are already spoke for. So we'll get another batch if we need to. But they're awesome. I'm glad you guys are having fun with it and checking it out. So it's a neat piece. Anyway, let's get to the brochure tonight. Then we'll see if we got time for some classifieds, because tonight's brochure is cool. Let me reshuffle some things here. Move that Texaco out of the way. And get to tonight's sales brochure. Oh, what do we post? New posting on the Nobodies page. New posting on the Nobodies page. I got to check it out myself real quick. Let me open up a new tab. Oh, that's sweet. Wow. Holy cow. That that looks like it's all original paint. It's got the original graphics on it. I have or had one similar to that, but it was a different cab and it wasn't near that nice. That is great, John. That's a great looking truck. Wow. Impressive. Okay, I can see why you had to buy that. As we've been checking out, we've been using a lot of sales brochures. You guys, I shared that collection with you the night I got it from our good friend Carrie. We've been squeezing a sales brochure into Sunday nights here lately, as well as utilizing them in the videos for more information about the cars whenever we can. And tonight, man, this thing is just wow. And I know I say that a lot, but every time I open another box of sales brochure, I just go, wow, because this stuff is just mind-blowing. That's worth paying up for, John. Paying up a little extra for something of that quality, you'll never regret it. Never. I would have no problem paying up a little bit for that. But tonight's sales brochure. Are we ready? The 1946 Cadillac. Who's ever seen this one before? Yeah. Now, this is interesting. I opened it up last night, and this is almost like a kind of a book. If you can kind of see in here, like the pages are smaller than this, and it's not a hardcover, but it's almost like poster board thick on the front and the back cover. I almost feel like I need white gloves. We've talked about that. I should get some. But we see the 19 and the 46 over here. Obviously, this thing just absolutely stands out. So let's take a peek inside of the 1946 Cadillac, the standard of the world sales brochure. And there again, there's no photographs in here. So as we open it up, it looks like a book. We can see how it's got a separate spine in here for the sales brochure part. We can see how the cover is slightly larger than the brochure itself. True, John, but I still feel like I should have some on. So let's take a peek. America's finest motor car, the 1946 Cadillac, new in appearance, new in performance. Now, you got to remember, like all this stuff that we do, we've got to put ourselves in this time frame. Remember, the war just ended. Less than a year before this brochure hit the shelf. What, August of 45, something like that? So these were warmed over 42s, don't get me wrong. But there had not been any new cars in 4 years when this came out. People have been patching together what they had. And you say 4 years isn't a big deal. In today's world, it's not uncommon to see a 10, 15, 20-year-old car on the road because they've gotten so much better. We get so much more use out of it. Put yourself back in this time period. The war just ended. There's been no new cars for 4 years. Back then, if you got 8 to 10 years out of a car, you were doing pretty good. 20 years before this was Model T. The Model T was built until 27. So 20 years before this was the Model T. Now, we go back from 2025 to see somebody driving a 2005 pickup in today's world is not uncommon at all. But when you put yourself in this time frame, no new vehicles for 4 years, and an average lifespan of probably 8 to 10 years, this was huge. Post-war America, the car sales were astronomical. I remember talking to a little farmer up by Glacier, and he had an old 48 Chevy truck. Exactly. John drives a 2003 F-150. Very common in today's world. And because vehicles last. Back then, unheard of. Like I said, you'd be driving a Model T is what you would be driving if you were driving a 20-year-old car back then. But in post-war America, demand was so high that you couldn't hardly get them. I remember talking to this old farmer up by Glacier, and he had a 48 Chevy pickup. And I was talking to him, and it had like both sun visors and a couple of options on it. And I said, oh, you got this and you got this when you bought this truck. And he said, no, we didn't get this or that. We got what showed up. In this time period in post-war America, you went to the dealership and you said, I want a half-ton pickup, a three-quarter-ton pickup. I want a four-door car. I want a two-door car. I want a convertible. And they called you when one became available, and you bought it. If you didn't, you went back to the bottom of the list, and they would call you when another one showed up. That's how it worked. The pickup we were looking at that day, he said, this is what showed up when they called us, when they got to our name on the list. And you could buy it, or you could go back to the bottom of the list. So that's the kind of the crazy thing about what post-war America was like. So let's check out this brochure. America's Finest Motor Car, the 1946 Cadillac, new in appearance, new in performance. However, everything in 46 was based off of 41 and 42 cars. It just still was. From victory on the battlefield to victory on the highway, we see the Flathead V8 Cadillac power plant. That's right, Randy. That is true. People today would have a meltdown. And you're right, John. We are spoiled. There's no doubt about it. Plus, there's a tank in here. It's always a win when you got a tank, right? And they were powered by Flathead Cadillac V8s. Matchless beauty and performance in 4 distinguished series, the 61, the 62, the 60 Special, and the 75. Perfect, Austin. Sounds great. You're not the only one, Randy. I know I love it, and I'm pretty sure there's a few other guys on here that do as well. And we're just getting into it. We need to get to the Series 61, the 61 sedan. And there again, guys, these are not photographs. This is art. The hearts are a-flowing. The 61 Fastback. Great Briggs, glad you made it. Congrats on the new truck. Yeah, I know. I get excited about tanks. I'm sorry. I kind of get excited when I see a tank because it's a tank. How can you not get excited about a tank? It's like that meme where it says go put a tank on your credit card. And when they come to repossess it, what are they going to do? Stop you? Because you'll be driving your tank. I don't know. I get a little excited about tanks. The 61 two-door fastback in the lighthouse scene. Oh, yeah, that's true, John. That thing was awesome. The Cadillac Series 62 5-passenger sedan. Looks like these guys are out in the field. Look at that scene. That's probably Tractor Mike's relatives driving new Cadillacs back in the 40s. The 62 5-passenger Club Coupe. This one in a seaside scene. Trying to keep these things in focus for Facebook and YouTube so you guys can see them. And check this one out, guys. The Series 62 Convertible Club Coupe. You're right, guys. The lines on these things are just knockout. More hearts flowing. The new Fleetwood, the 60 Special Fleetwood. Speaking of two tones, John, check this one out with the gray and the blue. This one in a winter scene. See a little snow on the ground, out in their coats. And the new Cadillac Fleetwood Series 75 5-passenger touring sedan. Look at that bad boy. That's exactly right, Randy. Yes, that's true. The car doesn't even fit on the page. The new Cadillac Fleetwood Series 75 7-passenger touring sedan. 7-passenger touring sedan. This thing is awesome. This scene depicts the car sitting in front of the estate. The reason being it is sitting in front of the estate because it is a 7-passenger touring sedan, so it should be at the estate. Here's the picture at the estate. You see the major house off in the background, and then we see the interior with the jump seats in it, since it's a 7-passenger car. How cool is that? Luxury, comfort, and convenience apparent in every detail. Improved hydromatic drive adds a final touch to Cadillac's incomparable performance. Sensory overload. Yep, it kind of is. "40 years of engineering leadership climaxed in the new Cadillac, added comfort and pleasure for Cadillac owners." Cadillac accessories. Below are listed accessories available for your selection. They are built to the same fine standards as the cars themselves. Automatic heating system, radio, just radio. No Bluetooth, no 18-inch screen option, just radio. You could get a radio. That's what you could get. Ventilating defrosting heater, seat covers, special steering wheel, glare-proof mirror, Fleetwood robe. Fleetwood, you need a robe for your Fleetwood? A backup light. You could get an optional backup light. A spotlight, wheel discs, trim rings, license plate frames, windshield washer, gas cap lock, outside rear view mirror. Yes, you could get an optional outside rear view mirror as well as fog lights, all available in the 1946 Cadillac. And check out the drawing of their heater system. They probably weren't quite 3 tons, but I bet they were over 2. Well, and you're right, Randy. Find one of these in the barn. It was kind of like when that Dad bought that '39 Cadillac. That was an auction, but that car had been sitting there for when they pulled the motor out of it in '79 or '80. And I went to Dad buy it in 19, I think. It'd been sitting there for 40 years in that garage with no motor on it in it. Yeah, we haven't talked about the '39 Cadillac in a while. If you guys haven't seen the videos on the '39 Cadillac, you got to go check that out. Quality service in keeping with the world's finest motor car, as well as specifications. I'm going to show you this. There's just the only thing about it is the Cadillac service. Then we'll check out a few of the specifications, and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up. But obviously, the Cadillac service sign, take it back to your Cadillac dealer. These are your specifications over here. I'll see if you guys, I'll hold them up here so maybe you guys can make some of them out of what they were really trying to promote on the 1946 Cadillac. Engine, pistons, carburation, gas tank, generator, clutch, transmission, synchro mesh, hydromatic transmission, lighting, directional signals, front suspension, springs, brakes, drive shaft, rear axle, steering gear, frame, ride stabilizer, tires and wheels, fenders, wheelbase, and body types. You got a real one of those, Randy? I don't have that. That's an amazing sign. I love those. If you got a real one of those, that's awesome. It's smaller, okay? Yeah, because those were typically 48s. I don't know if they made that they may have probably made it in a 30 and a 48 and maybe a 60. But if it's original, that's a killer piece. But things like pistons, lightweight, precision manufactured to Cadillac quality standards, surface treated to prevent scuffing, pistons fitted with 2 compression rings, 1 oil ring, which are surface treated with ferrous oxide for durability. That's what it says about the pistons. In today's world, you're not going to find any of that in a sales brochure, I don't think. And that pretty much wraps it up. We're back to the back of the brochure. And that pretty much does it for our 46 Cadillac standard of the world sales brochure. So pretty cool piece. We're having a blast with these. I know we usually don't get to them till later in the night, and a lot of guys don't stick around that long. But I think it's worth it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. And don't worry, we've only got a couple thousand more to go. Probably not quite that many, but I bet there's 1,000 of them. Okay, that's a real small Andy Rooney wants one from the 90s. Okay, yep, I know what you're talking about. So exactly, who's counting? And some of it is 70s and 80s and 90s stuff, which isn't as cool. But man, there is so much awesome stuff in here. And I can't say this enough that how lucky I was that Kerry thought of me when he's decided it was time to move the collection on and allowed us to add it to our collection, which is allowing me to share it with you guys. And we just keep pulling stuff like this out. I mean, the Willies, the supercharged Graham. I mean, the brochures that we've had the opportunity to study and the vehicles we've had the opportunity to learn about just because of Kerry's generosity was really super cool. And I'm having a blast with it. I know you guys are having a blast with it, and it's been a lot of fun. So, but anyway, guys, with that, I guess that pretty much wraps up tonight. We didn't get to the classified ads from 1954, but we can leave them on there for next week. We kind of got off on oil cans there for a bit, but hey, that has a tendency to happen because this is not a very structured deal. If you guys have cool stuff to talk about, by God, we're going to talk about whatever cool stuff you guys have to talk about. and excited that that you took your book out and found a can with it. That's awesome. So that's the whole purpose of this. Glad you guys are enjoying it and having fun. What's coming up next week? Thanks, Mike. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that. Glad you had fun, John. What's coming up this week? We will get the Wahoo Swap Meet up for public viewers on Wednesday, I believe. And what's coming up? Oh, 52 Ford pickup. Fresh off the farm, 52 Ford pickup will be coming up Friday night. Those videos went up for members this week. And we'll get some new member videos up this week as well. Tuesday night, I will be around, so we will do some Toy Tuesday live Tuesday evening. And be back here next Sunday night. Thanks for the kind comments. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate all your support. And glad everybody had a good time tonight. And thought we did some cool stuff. So we'll get some more stuff worked up for next week. We're going to give this steering wheel away in 2 weeks. We've got more cool auction stuff to go that are going to add to your guys' collection coming up with the swap meet I went to last week, the auction, all the stuff that I've been coming up with. We've got a lot of amazing stuff coming up for the next several months that is going to be added to your guys' collections as well. I do have a video from the auction I need to get put together. There was a lot of stuff there, but I didn't end up getting, I mean, there was probably 150 grease caps. I think I got 30 or 40. So it was a tough auction. Appreciate it, David D. But regardless, we've got some cool stuff that's going to be moving down the road to your guys' collections next. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to wrap this thing up. We sure see you right back here, same bat time, same bat station next Sunday night, 7:30 for some more Gearhead interactive live chat. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your support of the channel, telling your friends about it, inviting them over, and having a good time with us. Have a great week, everybody. We hope to see you next Sunday night. Thanks for watching.